Beyonce performed the Super Bowl before the Super Bowl, and we're calling it the Beyonce Bowl. Beyonce is the top pop artist of the 21st century, and Beyonce is also dropping something on January 15th. We are going to get into all of this. We're first going to get into the Billboard's pick as the top pop artist of the 21st century. So we're talking about after 2001. Beyonce has been having her career for the last 25 years. Also, if you're seeing the straw, it's my Dunkin'. I really can't go anywhere without Dunkin', y'all. I love Dunkin'. I'm about Beyonce. I love Beyonce. I've been wanting Beyonce for years. I've been loving Beyonce for years. I think I'm one of those people who have been silently supporting her and then, outwardly supporting her for the last 5 years. I don't know. I haven't been really into expressing my interest outwardly. I don't know where that comes from, but I think a large part of it comes from me living in Canada. We digress. So a lot of people were up in arms with Billboard awarding Beyonce with the top pop artist of the 21st century. It just makes sense. A lot of people are saying that it should go to Taylor Swift, but Taylor Swift only has numbers, and even Billboard has caught that. I can definitely acknowledge that. Anybody can acknowledge that. But when someone's talking about the best artist, the best pop artist, one should not just look at numbers. Okay? We're talking about how good the songs are, how the lyrics are, how has it affected people, how has this music transcend the actual drama. And Billboard is taking a more nuanced approach, as it should, when it comes to awarding somebody who has made a tremendous amount of strides in their genre, on the world, in culture. And that goes to Beyonce. I'm sorry. Yes. And so Billboard actually said this when they actually were putting out who is Billboard's greatest pop star of the 21st century. So they said, with the first quarter of the 21st century coming to a close, Billboard has spent the last few months counting down our staff picks for the 25 greatest pop stars in the last 25 years. You can see the stars who have made our list so far. So we know that Taylor Swift made second, Beyonce made first out of the many stars in that list, which I'll talk about in a second, but they go on and say, and now we examine the century in Beyonce. Our editorial staff picks for the number one greatest pop star of the 21st century. While Taylor Swift is the century's biggest pop star by the number, so by streaming, by how many seats she can fill out in a stadium, sold out stadiums, from album sales to streams to touring dominance, exactly what I just said. Our editorial staff chose Beyonce as our greatest pop star of the century based on her full 25 years of influence, evolution, and impact. I'll say that again. Influence on people, on culture, on generations, evolution, how she's evolved as an artist. Can you name another artist who is still relevant 30 years later? 30, 40 years later. Let me know. And impact, how she's impacted her genre, her people, the music. It's Beyonce. And even in the article, Taylor Swift even admits that it should go to Beyonce. Beyonce was bigger than Taylor Swift before Taylor Swift was Taylor Swift. And honestly, I am going to say Taylor Swift has only become big beyond pop culture and country. And people are now noticing who Taylor Swift is in the last 5 years. Anyone who's a Swiftie knows Taylor Swift, obviously. But if you're not a Swiftie, you don't really know Taylor Swift. So it's, I think, because of how she broke records with her tours in the last couple of years, people are now understanding who Taylor Swift is. And so people are now understanding that Taylor Swift is bigger than we think that she is. So I do not really like Billboard's list of the top artists of the 21st century. I mean, it doesn't include Fergie. It doesn't include a lot of people on there, which I think should be on that list. And we're talking about after 2001. It includes kind of like the obvious, like Rihanna, includes Ariana Grande. It includes, Justin Bieber and the likes. But there are some people I think it should be on there. So I do agree with their top pop artist, but their list to me is a bit wonky. But that's just my opinion. As long as they pick Beyonce's number, because that makes perfect sense, honestly, as a person who's had a career in music for at least 30 years and has been relevant throughout that entire time. So we have Beyonce as the top pop star of the 21st century, and she's closing out the year as the best artist of our lifetime. She performed one of the greatest football halftime performances, and that wasn't even the Super Bowl. And people are saying that, how can Kendrick really compare to that? Honestly, Kendrick has tons of records, and Kendrick can put on a performance around the level of Beyonce. So I'm not one of those people who are like, who can really go after Beyonce like that. I know Kendrick could in a heartbeat. And this 2024 was Kendrick's year for sure. This was Kendrick's year. So Kendrick knows how to perform, and he did do like a mini performance in regards to his hit records that came out in regards to the Drake feud, and he can definitely do it for the Super Bowl. And so let's talk about Beyonce Bowl. Let's talk about the performance. Like it was incredible. Like I had no idea that it was going to be that good. And people are looking at it and hating on it. I don't know how you can hate. I understand that for if you do not like Beyonce's music, it may not be your favorite genre, but you cannot just discount her as a person or an artist and say she's not a good artist, she's not a good performer. You're wrong. Let's talk about the Beyonce Bowl. So it was quite long, and while it was going on, I was cooking and I had to go take a shower. So I only watched some of it, and then I ended up rewatching it over and over and over again, and I cried, and I was in a euphoric state for 24 hours. It was just incredible, and she's just such an inspiring person. She's flawless, and she's smart, and she's cunning. And we'll talk about all of you think everything that happened in performance was like random, like the black cowboys on the horses and the white flowers. No, they all have significance. They all tie back to Black history and Black culture, and in the South specifically too. So we're gonna break that down. I'll go into my favorite part. My favorite part was definitely the beginning. That entire white, and she's going in with blackbirds and those 4 beautiful black girls, and that's the beginning was definitely my favorite. I don't care if it was pre-recorded, re-recorded. I don't care to be able to sing flawlessly on a horse. I'm sorry, who can sing flawlessly like that on a horse? Nobody but Beyonce. And so we're going to talk about it. We're talking about all the symbols. Shabuzi looked good. Post Malone looked good under Beyonce's light. Like everybody was doing their big one. And it really it's not really so shocking too that the CMAs kind of snubbed Beyonce because she knew that it was going to happen. What people do not understand is that a lot of things tie back to Black people and Black culture and Black history. So, for instance, country music came from Black people. So let's talk about this. So Beyonce in the beginning, let's talk about all the symbols. So Beyonce came on and riding on a horse, not just any horse, a white horse. And that white horse in itself, white itself, like the symbolism of white horse can mean so many different things. It could mean, hero, and it could mean let me pull it up here. It can mean so many different things. And I do want to say, before I continue talking about the symbolism, I got a lot of these meanings and symbolism because I've been too busy these days, so I can't break everything down. But I looked into myself. And that's where we're going to be talking about it. A lot of the things, the people who are able to break things down on TikTok have been some of my favorite black content creator, and she is also Canadian TikToker. I got a lot of the symbolism from the halftime, from the Beyonce Bowl, from your thick big sis, your YOUR thick THICK big BIG sis SIS. Put that in TikTok. You'll find her. She's a Torontonian. She's a Canadian, and she's been breaking down every single inch of Beyonce's message, performance, what she wants us to really take from what she's doing. And so she broke down a lot of what I'm going to say. So I'm going to share with you guys. So that's where you can find her takes. But in regards to the white horse, white horses have been a powerful symbol in many cultures and mythologies with a variety of meanings. So it could mean, associated with chariot and fertility and warrior. And it could also mean great power and success. And when it comes to the American spirit, it could mean the white horse can represent the American spirit and freedom and justice. It could also represent wealth and success and fame. It represents so many good things. So Beyonce specifically chose the white horse for that reason. And I am going off her your big thick sis takes, because I do believe that's the case. That is what Beyonce is trying to really communicate to us through these symbols, and tying it back to the significance to Black history, Black people, and Black culture. So she specifically rode on a Lipizan horse. And if anybody who knows on a Lipizan horse, and I looked into it myself, even though the TikToker also said it, it's a horse that is given birth with the color black. Like the horse is born black, but as the horse grows up and grows over time, the skin of the horse turns white, which represents the evolution of country music. It originated from Black people, from Black communities, and as time has gone on in 2024, it's been dominated by white people. Honestly, white people who are not from the South, who are not, country, who are from the city, from Philadelphia or from Oregon. And so that's another reason why Beyonce picked the black horse. So Beyonce, as she started with Yaya, she was walking down a stripped path, and it represents Emerald City. And it kind of represents you're walking down the yellow brick road to a curtain in which what is behind is the truth. And so behind this curtain, you have Beyonce, who is trying to expose the originators of Black country and Black history. And it also, the yellow brick road could also mean, the American dream, how Black people from all over the world come to America to kind of create and establish their form of the American dream in the United States of America. Incredible, right? It gives me chills. And then, of course, like I said, talk about in the beginning, the Black beautiful vocalist that sang Blackbirds. Of course, we all know the significance of that. It came from the Beatles. I think it's the Lennon. I think it comes from John Lennon, and he created that song in relation to the civil rights movement, and how Black people wanted to find freedom and voices in the civil rights movement, and they did this as a way to showcase, their freedom, and to express their need for freedom. So let me bring up the specific, I kind of summarized it, but I want to make sure I summarized it accurately. It's McCartney. See, I didn't do it right. Y'all. It was actually created by McCartney. It was written by Paul McCartney and credited to Lennon. I was kind of right, but it's not John Lennon. It's Lennon McCartney, I guess, and performed as a solo piece by McCartney. When discussing the song, McCartney has said that the lyrics were inspired by hearing the call of a blackbird in Rishikesh, India, and by the civil rights movement in the southern United States of America. So I'm going to pull up the definition here. And so they wrote it in Scotland as a response to the Little Rock 9 incidents and the overall civil rights movement, wanting to write a song dedicated to people who had been affected by discrimination. Okay. That's why he wrote the song. So in 2018, McCartney further elaborated on the song's meaning, explaining that the blackbird means black girl in the context of the civil rights troubles in the southern 1960s in the US. And McCartney wrote it for her elderly mother, Edith Stopforth, who was staying at Jim McCartney's house while recovering from a long illness. Angie recalled that the McCartney visited the house and sat at the Edith's bedside, where Edith told him that she would listen to a bird singing at night. And so it goes on to say, as a nature song, a message in support of the Black Power movement, or a love song. Writing in the 1990s, Ian MacDonald noted that the theory that Blackbird was intended as a metaphor for the Black civil rights struggle, but pointed to the composition's romantic qualities, arguing that the early morning bird song translates into a succinct metaphor for awakening on a deeper level. Okay. However, doing an informal rehearsal at AMI Studios before he and Donovan took part in a Mary Hopkins recording session, McCartney played Blackbird, telling Donovan that he wrote it after having read something in the newspaper regarding the riots during the civil rights movement, and that he meant the blackbird to symbolize black women. So black women, wanting them to find freedom. And yeah, that's really what that means, and that's what the song really means. And so it was really beautiful seeing those 4 black women who are now going to find freedom, their foreign freedom, through Beyonce's success and their success and doing well on the song of Blackbird on the album. They can hopefully find and create their own careers through the song that has now made them famous. And it's kind of like symbolism within symbolism, meanings under meanings. It's pretty incredible. And then after that, the camera turns around them and then comes back to the front and then pans to black cowboys standing on horses. And there weren't all cowboys. There were 3 cowboys and 1 cowgirl. The 3 cowboys were different shades of black, which was beautiful, on the horses, standing right on the horse, which is incredible. I can't even sit on a horse and ride for 5 minutes, even though I have done, and it's really fun. You guys should try it too. And there's also 1 black girl that was towards the right, and we're sitting here. I found that incredible. And of course, it meant something because the camera panned on them and stayed on them for quite a minute, for quite a hot second. And Beyonce wanted us to take something from that. So there is meaning to that. So let me read it to you what that means. So there were black cowboys back in the day in the 1800s. So I read an article that says that more than 8,000 black cowboys rode in the Great Western cattle drives of the late 1860s. Black cowboys were renowned for their ability to ride the nastiest horses that white cowboys wouldn't ride. The Bill Pickett Invitational Rodeo is named after the man credited with the inventing bulldogging, the precursor to the modern rodeo event of steer wrestling. The Bill Pickett Rodeo, founded by Lou Vason in 1984, is the only touring black rodeo in the country, and this year visits Memphis, Tennessee, Oakland, LA, California, Atlanta, and Washington, D.C. It's hard to imagine a more powerful symbol of self-reliance, strength, and determination than the cowboy. Our fascination with cowboy culture should acknowledge that these qualities of strength and resilience were forged by black men and women as such as they were by any other group. These photographs are intended to capture the vibrant culture of black cowboys in the West and bring it into the mainstream. So The black cowboy culture came from black men and black women too. In the 1800s, they would do a rodeo called they would call it inventing. They would invent bulldogging, and the precursor to the modern rodeo event of steer wrestling. So they would do this thing called inventing bulldogging, and I always thought that cowboys came from. And listen, education is power. You know what I mean? Education is power. I always thought that cowboys came from white people, but no, it also originated from black people as well, which is incredible. And I'm looking through this here. I found an article which was also mentioned in the girls' TikTok, and shows, incredible black men and women as cowboys and cowgirls. As you can see, look at how incredible that is. And we are also cowboys and cowgirls. You know what I mean? Who would have thought? Who would have thought? So that's like really, really incredible. And I had no idea. And I love the fact that we can learn all of this through Beyonce's performance. Because I know she's one of those people who's like really, really smart and really cunning, and who has entendres upon entendres, like Kendrick Lamar. She puts meaning into everything because I think Beyonce wants people to also learn from her music, but also remind people who we are as black people. And so people are not whitewashed and forget where they come from. And so they can pass that on to the next generation. Speaking of next generation, which we'll get to, remember the white flowers? Like I was seeing the white flowers on floats, on Cadillacs, and when she would perform, when that Cadillac would come open, there were white flowers on each edge, and they were beautiful, like some of the most beautiful white flowers I've ever seen in my life. And those white flowers also has meaning. It came from the float that black people would create on Juneteenth, Emancipation Day. And on Juneteenth in Texas, people in Texas would celebrate Juneteenth by adding white flowers to their floats. And Beyonce wants us to let us know that white floats, not floats, but want us to know that as well. I don't know, it's interesting. I don't know why she wants us to know that white flowers were on floats, and I guess to remind us about Juneteenth and about emancipation. I do feel like, as now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of like she's laying down the entire history of the black people as she's performing. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of ended with giving Beyonce the torch to her daughter Blue, right? It started off with bringing in it started off with the black cowboys in the 1800s. And oh my God, it is a lineage. It is a lineage of black history. Oh wow. So it started off with the black cowboys in the 1800s, and then we go to the Juneteenth flowers. What year was Juneteenth? I feel like I have like a good history of black American culture, black history. But Juneteenth, because I'm Canadian, you guys have to remember. Juneteenth, June 19th, but which year? 1865. So in the 1800s, we have the black cowboys, and then we have June 19th, 1865, Emancipation Day, Independence Day for us black people, which just means legally, I mean, not culturally or systemically or structurally, but legally. The holiday was first celebrated in Texas, where on that day in 1865, in the aftermath of the Civil War, enslaved people were declared free under the terms of the 1862 Emancipation Proclamation. Of course, you'll have Jim Crow after that, because it was still slavery and discrimination and racism was rampant, because it was still systemically, structurally and culturally and societally, in social. So, in Jim Crow, they would like separate fountains for white and black people. People would have to drink off of a separate fountain if you're black, and so forth if you're white. So the holiday was first celebrated in Texas, right? So not only is Beyonce, highlighting black history, but she's highlighting Texas black history. So Texas black cowboys, Texas Black Juneteenth. And then towards the end, as we are seeing history, and then she's collaborating, we're then, seeing her sing with Joe Malone and Shabuzi, which I love me a cute little Shabuzi. And we seeing her collaborate with like other artists. And then she goes towards the end, where we see Blue perform, and then we see, images of symbolism, her trying to tell us that she's giving this legacy, her past, to her daughter, her kids, the next generation, right? And we do see that with the HBCU band, and their historical significance in the black culture and for black people, and preserving, our identity. And then we do see, other significant people from Texas, and from the South. We see the first black rodeo queen, Jadea Kush. And then we see the next generation, Blue performing. And Blue performed all throughout. Like, I was crying when Blue performed. Like, she was incredible because she's only 13 and she has a resume of a superstar. Like, she performed with on all these concerts in Renaissance. She performed with Beyonce during the Renaissance tour. She now, has a voiceover credit in a big motion picture movie on The Lion King, and now she's this. Like, she performed in her own Super Bowl. She has an incredible resume. And so we see her at the end, like Blue is always performing beside her in the beginning, right? And then towards the end on the bleachers, sorry, my nose is very itchy. This happens all the time. I'm sorry, guys. And then towards the end, instead of performing on the side, she's then performing behind Beyonce. And then we see her on the bleachers do this. And the Beyonce's in front of her and she's behind her. Basically her telling us that we're passing this down to our next generation. The next generation is what matters. And so it's an incredible celebration of Texan culture, incredible celebration of black culture and black history and history when it comes to country music, black country music. And it was just an incredible performance. Like, leave it to Beyonce to take us on a incredible ride and give us so much meaning and still give us an incredible performance, flawless performance, not only from her but also her daughter. And the daughter's only 13. It's just, I'm just so grateful to be in this generation where I'm able to witness Beyonce and all of her glory. So moving on, so that's basically their performance, and there's a lot to come. I think a lot of people are going to read into their performance. I think a lot of people are going to gonna love it. A lot of people are going to be dissecting it for days to come, because Beyonce really does give us little clues of this, that, and the third, and little trinkets that really mean something. It's not about, oh my God, it's giving us clues of who she's, relationship things and who she's dating and drama. No, giving us significance, giving us clues and symbols in regards to something really important, that something that really does matter. And not only is she showing that in an entertaining way, she's showing that in a way that's educational and that we need to remember as black people and take it on to the next generation. So January 15th is when she is announcing something. Now, people are saying that it's out of three things, right? January 14th. People are saying it could be a tour or her third act of her album. Because remember, she's doing 3 acts based off her interest in where she is in her life. The first one was Renaissance. The second was Cowboy Carter, which was so the first one was disco music, pretty much kind of called? Not disco music. Yeah, kind of disco. What's that? House music. Disco house music. Renaissance. Second one was Cowboy Carter country music, and the third one I think is going to be rock and roll, which is going to be freaking incredible. I don't really like house and disco music, but I love Renaissance, and I love the music, and I love the concert, which I wasn't able to attend, but I did see the movie, and it was incredible, and I cried during the movie, and I also danced through the movie, and I also sang through the movie, and I loved it. So January 14th, she's dropping something, so it could be an album, it could be her concert of the Cowboy Carter concert, or it could be giving us a behind the scenes of the actual Beyonce Bowl, which people are saying that it could be behind the scenes of the Beyonce Bowl because of the font of the announcement on her socials, and it's the same font as the Netflix font and same font as kind of, you know, rodeo, like olden day downtown, like southern font, like olden style font. And nothing on our socials is saying that she's going to be transitioning to a new era yet. We're still in the Cowboy Carter era. So with that being said, I think it might be like a movie giving us a behind the scenes of how she pulled off this incredible performance that I will be playing every single morning of my life. And I loved it. I mean, let me know what you guys think. I mean, I don't know. Sorry guys, I need a drink. I don't know. I really do think that she's one of the greatest performers of her time, and she is a prodigy and a genius. But I do think too, all of this didn't come natural to her. I really do think it requires, what she had to accomplish requires meticulous practice. Practice makes perfect. She probably puts hours. I think she's good at this, not because of, yes, it's pure talent, but practice and dedication and persistence, and if it was, and her passion, and she's passionate about it. If you mix those three together, you're gonna have a person who is Beyonce. And I think she's teaching those values and those principles and those, you know, recipe for success to Blue and her children. You can see that Blue is going to be a superstar by the age of 18. She's an incredible little girl already. She's 13, but she doesn't even look 13. She looks 16, 18. Like, oh my God. I saw her on the red carpet in that beautiful gold ball gown for her voiceover movie, The Lion King. And she looks like a teenager, but she's only a preteen. And she looks beautiful, of course. Gorgeous, just like Beyonce's spitting image. Beyonce's going to have a handful to deal with when it comes to Blue. I'm just like, I want to learn from Beyonce. I really do want to become the best that I can be in my own industry, in my own craft, just like Beyonce. I want to be revered and known just like Beyonce. I want people to know my name. I want to have a household name. I want my name to be a household name. And so y'all probably like, that's ambitious. That's weird. No, I mean, I'm being honest with you guys, but that's always been my goal, I realized. And I think I've always wanted to get into entertainment, but I never knew how. I think my father try to do that, taking me to piano lessons and singing lessons. I think my father always wanted me to do American Idol. And I just said no from the beginning to the end and just didn't do it. So I want to be my version of Beyonce, if that makes sense. And she inspires me to do that each and every day. And I love how the fact that she's not going to sway from who she is and still embody what it means to be a Black woman, a Black American, and still remember the people who came before her and the people who are coming after her, and still remember that, you know, she's part of a greater part in this universe, and that's why she is Billboard's top pop artist of the 21st century. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. I'll be back real soon. Definitely subscribe, please, and stay woke and stay healthy and stay safe. Let me know what you guys think about Beyonce Bowl, of Beyonce in general, of anything of what I said today. And you guys have a lovely day. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Chinese New Year. Happy Lunar New Year. For anybody, happy holidays. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.